What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. This video is for anyone who's ever wondered if the iPad can replace a MacBook. Now, the stage is a little bit different. iPads have come a long way, especially with the introduction of Apple Silicon. We have the M2 iPad Air here, which came out in 2024, I believe. And we have the M2 Pro MacBook Pro 14-inch here. Both of these are base model, so keep that in mind. And I thought it would be fun because I had tried this before with like the original iPad Pro to see if I could use it like for my entire like job in life, and it just didn't work. So what I did was I went a full day with the M2 iPad Air here to see if it could fully replace my Mac. So that's what we're going to dive into today. Before we do though, on this channel we talk about tech from an intentional living and minimalist perspective. We like tech that marries form and function. So if that sounds cool to you, that's what you can expect on this channel. Please subscribe and like this video for more. So with a video like this, context matters, right? I'm not a guy who's on safari who is helping animals and taking wildlife photography, right? I'm not a school teacher, right? So I need to explain how I use these. So my 9-to-5 job is in marketing and advertising. I run specifically programmatic campaigns on a demand side platform, which is fully accessible through the internet, right? So I usually use Chrome for that. Other than that, with my 9-to-5, I'm usually in meetings, I'm taking handwritten notes, I am emailing quite a bit, but most everything I do in my 9-to-5 is done online through web apps, if that makes sense. As for here on the channel, for the side hustle, I used to do everything myself. So that would be photo editing, video editing, emailing, all that stuff too, admin, financial stuff like that as well. So the thing that's changed over the past year is I actually don't edit my videos anymore. I have a team of 3 here on the channel. So whenever I record a video like this, I actually send the footage off to be edited. So that is sort of the main thing I think is keeping content creators from fully going over to something like the iPad for their use, is they need a powerhouse computer that runs like Final Cut or DaVinci or Adobe Premiere Pro. So the fact that I'm not having to do that makes this a little bit closer of a competition. So I wanted to get context out of the way before I dive into what my day looked like using the M2 iPad Air exclusively and leaving my MacBook at home. So on a normal day, after I drop my son off at daycare, I head to my day job at Leisure Media 360. I brought the iPad, I plugged it right into my 32-inch Samsung display, which by the way, I think Stage Manager is something that I didn't really like when it first came out, but when it comes to using iPad specifically, it really does help narrow that gap between what the iPad can do versus what the MacBook can do. And I think being able to use an external monitor, a 32-inch 4K external monitor with my iPad is fantastic. So I got to work, I plugged it right in, and I started on doing some productivity stuff for the day, emailing, and I even worked on some reporting and optimization in the platform that I use for my 9-to-5 job to run programmatic campaigns. Everything was handled flawlessly. There was no hiccups. Something I did want to mention is at work I use a Pebble Logitech mouse, just a cheap little mouse. And what I found was because iPad is so, touch input heavy, I was trying to set up a calendar event and I couldn't scroll to the next week to set up an invite for a client. So I actually had to take it out of Stage Manager in my display, pull it down to the iPad, then use my finger to swipe over, which isn't a huge deal, but it's just another step like when you're in the flow of like booking meetings and stuff that you don't want to have to do. So I would recommend, if you're going for a setup like this, either using a mouse like the Logitech MX Master S, which has a side scrolly wheel, or using like a Magic Trackpad. And there's even another option which we'll talk about later, but you're gonna need to be able to swipe in the same sort of gesture that you do on the iPad screen. So that was something I ran into. Other than that, I handled some emails. I checked out the new Nintendo Switch release trailer, which that looks fantastic. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a full review on the channel. So I'd say for the stuff that I do at my day job, the iPad handles pretty much everything. I think the only thing, and maybe we'll talk about it a little bit more here in a minute, is it feels a little clunky, like switching between apps and stuff with Stage Manager. I don't know that it is innately clunky. I think it's just a different sort of flow and a different process when switching and multitasking on the iPad compared to the MacBook. I'm so used to using an app called Magnet where you can like pin and resize windows, and I usually have multiple windows open. Like I'll have an email here and reporting here, and I'm using both. And you can do side-by-side apps and stuff with Stage Manager. It's just a different way of doing it. Like with the Mac, I just click and drag it to the edge, it resizes. With the iPad, you're having to click those three dots and open and like change the window size, and it's just different. I think I could get into an efficient flow and stuff on the iPad, but it is different than the MacBook Pro. So it feels clunkier, but I'm not sure that's because it's innately clunkier or if it's just you're having to relearn a new operating system. I feel the same would be true if I just switched to PC. I'd have to learn how to do things efficiently and quickly on a PC compared to how I do it on my Mac. So after lunch, I headed over here to the studio, and I really wanted to find a way to have like an iPad desk setup. So what you're currently looking at is a UPerfect monitor. It's an OLED monitor from UPerfect. More information about the specs and stuff can be found at the link in the description. But I think the thing that I love about UPerfect is how thin their monitors are and how capable they are. So what I wanted here was like, if you have like a little nook in your kitchen or just don't have a ton of desk space, I chose everything here to be kind of narrow so that you could have sort of a smaller working environment. The screen is a 16-inch screen, I believe, and it sits above the iPad in this setup here, and it's a gorgeous OLED display. Using Stage Manager, you're able to have those two screens and work more productively than if you were just working on your iPad. As I mentioned, this monitor is super thin, and it comes with a simple stand, and it's more about like portability, like if you wanted to take an external monitor to a coffee shop, for instance. But because it has the VESA mount on the back, I asked UPerfect if they would send a little stand for a VESA mount over, which they did, and it's just so skinny and so thin, and it holds up the monitor so well. So now I had my external display for this setup. And I also wanted to try to figure out a way of using this new keyboard, which MelGeek sent over for us. First of all, the typing experience on this thing is fantastic. It sounds amazing. It's small. It's so well designed. I love the design of this keyboard, and I've had a blast using it at my main desk setup here at the studio. But I wanted to find a way to use this with the iPad. So because it isn't a Bluetooth keyboard, I needed a way to plug it into the iPad and also have the external display and also have power going to the iPad. So actually Hunter here on the channel let me borrow this little Anchor dongle that he was using for his iPad Pro, and it worked out perfectly. The keyboard has power, the iPad has power, the UPerfect display is connected, all with this little dongle. It's seen better days, but I'll see if I can leave a link to it in the description as well. Finally, I am using the MX Master 3S mouse, I think is the full name. It could connect to iPads up to 3 different devices, so I do use it with my main Mac Studio setup as well. And it does have the side scrolly wheel, so I fixed that problem that I had earlier at work. I did a little bit of work here in the actual studio so I could get some cool B-roll of this, but I decided actually just to take the iPad itself into the conference room to prep for a meeting that I have this afternoon. But first, I needed to make some coffee. Shout out Agile Marketing Collective. So to do some prep for that meeting, I needed to send out some emails. So I actually connected the iPad to this case here. This is the Belkin Pro keyboard case with magnetic stand. You'll probably notice it looks very similar to Apple's own version of this, but at a fraction of the cost. Now, this does connect via Bluetooth, but I have found it connects so quickly when you open it. It's fantastic. The keys light up in the back, like, I don't know. Having proprietary Apple stuff is great, and a lot of times you find competitors sort of miss the mark because they aren't proprietary, but this case is fantastic. It does add a little bit of weight to the device, but running through emails, the trackpad's great. Everything's obviously pretty small, but the keyboard feels great to type on, and I could see like taking this setup to a coffee shop with headphones and just cranking through emails or any sort of like document writing work, typing work. It's just like the perfect setup, honestly, and special thanks to Belkin for sending this out. I love it. We have a lot of Belkin products that just came in, so I'm excited to do another video for them in the future and to work with them. I've always admired Belkin. So you can grab this keyboard case as well as many other Belkin products down at the link in the description. And for all of these things I'm mentioning, by the way, I'm gonna try to get you all a discount as well. So check out the links in the description for more. After doing some scheduling and email work with this, I decided to start on my handwritten notes for my meeting this afternoon, and so I need to talk about two things. One is Paperlike, which I mentioned earlier. So Paperlike creates screen protectors that makes writing on an iPad feel more like paper. It's not perfect, but this is their second generation version. My biggest problem I had with the first generation was how matte and faded the picture quality of the iPad looked. Paperlike has redesigned how they create this paper, so it is more vivid and more of that sort of natural, beautiful iPad display does shine through, even though you have this kind of rough surface on the iPad. And I have loved using this thing to write on it. It definitely adds more of like a tactile like drag with the Apple Pencil Pro, more so than like writing on just the bare screen. And the second thing I want to talk about is the Apple Pencil Pro, which is fantastic. They have updated this. There's so many features now with the Apple Pencil Pro that if I went back, I would miss them terribly. Finally, the biggest thing. I've had an iPad in the past and taking notes on it was just not fun for me. My handwriting's not the best, and writing on just like a slick screen doesn't help that at all. But Apple's come out with this feature with handwriting where like it will subtly fix your handwriting to look better while keeping your personality in your handwriting. So the fact that I can write freely and then it gets fixed slightly to look better, this has become my favorite way of handwritten notes. I know it's digital, but it feels so analog and it looks better than if I were to write an analog note. So that is amazing. So yeah, I finished up those notes and went back to my main desk setup. I think the coolest thing about these new iPads is just how easy it is. Like I sit down at my desk, I plug in one USB cable, and now my Apple Studio display is using Stage Manager. I have this beautiful 5K display that I'm running off of my super thin iPad. Like this is an entire computer and it's so capable. The fact that it has USB-C and like I can use a dock with it and like put in SD cards and like connect it to external displays. This is such a more capable computer than it was a few years ago. So, can the M2 iPad Air replace my MacBook Pro? The answer, yes, actually. I would say because of my current workflow, if I wanted to, which I don't, I could get rid of this because I have a team of editors, so video editing is the biggest thing holding me back. I think if I could learn the process and learn how to be more productive and efficient with the operating system of Stage Manager, I could breeze through things just as easily as I do with my MacBook. But this was a really cool experiment. I'm excited to be taking this to more like coffee shops and stuff in the future just to crank out emails. I think that the iPad Air, which is wild because this isn't even the Pro model, which is a video for another day. In my opinion, this is the one you should get if you want a budget device because it doesn't feel like a budget device. But again, a video for another day. The M2 iPad Air can for sure replace my MacBook Pro with the current workload that I carry here at the studio and at my 9-to-5 job. But I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think that this iPad could replace your MacBook Pro? We all have different jobs, they carry different functions and things that we need to be able to do with our computers. But after watching this video, maybe it's changed your mind a little bit. I'd love to hear your comments down below. Special thanks to Paperlike, Belkin, MelGeek, and Anchor for the products here that were mentioned in the channel. Again, you can check out all of them at discounted rates at the links down in the description. Without them, this video wouldn't have been possible, truly. And I do think these different accessories add so much to the functionality of the iPad, making it even more capable than what it already is. So that's gonna do it. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing, like this video for more, watch this video next. I think you're gonna love it. And I'll see you all in the next one.